Okay, so I am contemplating the topic of the divine feminine and the divine masculine because it's Mother's Day and next month is Father's Day. So I've kind of been thinking about how I wanted to move into these spaces these next couple months. And this has been something that I've kind of been thinking about for a bit now, actually, partially because in my when I was doing my health coaching certification, as I was reading through the manual that we were using, it talked about the need to integrate the feminine and the masculine, and that really intrigued me. This idea of integration, it just stuck out to me that this was a part of our health, our wholeness, and who we are as human beings, and being just the healing process is this concept of integrating these two things. So I started delving into it. I started just looking into it more, and I will say it's hard to find. I think it's hard to find a lot of useful information about this. In some sense, it's crazy vague. And a lot of people have a lot of ideas, I think, now about feminine and masculine. There's all the political issues involved in that. There's identity issues involved in that. There's so many things involved in this that makes it really difficult to find, I think, information that is useful and accurate. I don't want to say accurate because there's no scientific process here that, at least as far as I can tell, that really actually has looked into these things. A lot of it is philosophical, theoretical, in the realm of that. So psychology, there is a bit in psychology that has looked into this. So we've got Carl Jung that kind of has delved into some of these concepts. So you'll find some of it there. So anyways, I've really been looking for information about this and trying to find things that aren't just kind of in the fantastical or outlandish or I don't want to say polarized. This is going to be polarized. It's meant to be, but kind of the political sphere. So the other thing I want to say is, beyond that, I'm learning myself. So this is kind of my own little journey that you can hear about at this time. And then the other thing is, when I am speaking of the feminine and the masculine, at this point in time, I'm not talking about identities. I want to actually leave that open to anybody who's listening to this to be able to discuss feminine and masculine without our identities being bumped up against. So the idea being that when I'm speaking about masculine and feminine, I'm speaking about traits or concepts, not, if you are biologically female, you are inherently feminine, and that makes you feminine, and you are feminine, because in reality, we hold all of these within ourselves. So think of it as more of a yin and yang concept, where we, the masculine and feminine are two polarities, and we have bits and pieces of both of these in ourselves. Sometimes we tend more towards one than the other, and we are trying to integrate them. Now, when I also speak about this, I want to give space for those who are either fully committed to a specific identity surrounding this. So go ahead and keep whatever identity you've created and feel is important, especially within the LDS Church. There are doctrinal concepts there that may or may not be problematic for people. So go ahead and keep those. There's no reason why you can't. So I kind of want to step outside of that. But just kind of in interest of what I'm talking about, just know that I understand there's kind of trickiness there in spaces, and that we're kind of navigating a period of time and issues that are a little bit more difficult right now. Why is this important? So I've talked about polarities before, and really the concept of polarities and the importance of polarities is our ability to actually see the differences between things and then make decisions surrounding those, and the idea that we are then bringing them together and integrating them. So by being capable of seeing separateness, we can then make choices surrounding what we think and believe at any given point in time, and what we need at any point in time. I talked about the concept of grace and justice. So I think that kind of, within a religious context, people can kind of see those polarities a little bit more. So polarities help us see differences, which then allow us to make a full spectrum of choices in between those two polarities, and really kind of learn about what those polarities are that help us to incorporate it and integrate it. So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm looking at this more in a symbolic way, a trait concept way. Really what is really fascinating about the concept of feminine and masculine is that it's a little bit different than any other polarity that you'll, I think, really see. I could be wrong. Again, I'm kind of looking into this more. But is that there is a concept that you're taking two polarities and uniting them into one. I think that's just a very intriguing idea. So we're taking two complete opposites and trying somehow to bring them together. So symbolically, the union of a biological male and a biological female very symbolically shows, those two concepts being pulled together. And, then you come with the necessity to navigate two polarities to try and work things out together. I mean, it's just a fascinating concept to me. So I find that pretty interesting too. So I want to go into just a few definitions. Like I said, it's kind of hazy and fuzzy out there, along with what in the heck are we talking about when we're talking about masculinity and femininity. I found one definition that I think really kind of follows along with, at least within the church, how we understand masculine and feminine. And again, I kind of want to make the point that I'm talking about polarities here, symbolism here, and please, within your own understanding and identities, use it whatever way works for you. So I'm not here to declare doctrine or anything like that. So the masculine, I'm reading this from a website that is called luminacoaching.com. So if people want to look at that, it's under an article called Understanding the Masculine. But I like this definition because I think it's something within the church that actually we've already kind of created concepts around. So it says the masculine essence exists in the world through what is seen and how those elements get manifested into reality. These qualities are often defined as structural, developmental, hierarchical, and creative. So we have within the masculine the organizational work, okay? The structural work as it's talking about. So I think within the church we have some very obvious examples of what this looks like. The priesthood is I'm kind of looking at it different. There is an organizational element to the way the priesthood is organized within the church right now. So you see that. On the other hand, this is from the definition again. The feminine essence exists in the world through how elements interact with one another and how they remain sustained in relationship. These qualities are often defined as nurturing, connecting, flowing, and dismantling. Again, I think if we go back to concepts that we understand within the church, we definitely have those concepts within a feminine trait. Like we understand those two polarities. So, I want to emphasize again, because I think people get super confused by this, that feminine traits actually can and should be exhibited within a biological male also. And I actually think Christ is a great example of this. He's often, there's feminine traits within Christ that we would define as feminine. So the nurturing trait, right? It's obviously there. Even within the proclamation to the family, there is an acknowledgement that these things need to be shared. And I think that comes down to these polarities that then become united. So a lot of thoughts on that. I think that's enough for kind of an introduction in what I'm talking about. Hopefully, if anybody has questions, please let me know. Again, I feel like I'm still learning in this space. I have a great respect for both the masculine and the feminine. I think they actually both are very important aspects of ourselves and in our lives together. So, and also a great respect for the symbolic nature of those two polarities within a union of a male and a female. So, I think that's it. Hopefully I haven't created too much craziness in people's lives. I'm going to move forward with this month. Obviously, I'm studying more about the Divine Feminine, our Heavenly Mother, who she is, what that looks like and manifests in our own life. And then in June, I'm hoping to delve more into Heavenly Father and kind of those aspects of it. So have a good weekend and a happy Mother's Day.